I mean, Robert Jenrick has come out and said that Rishi Sunak only went ahead with a package of immigration measures because he threatened to quit. I mean, does Sunak care?
No, he does care. He does care about immigration, but there's clearly more what he can do. So I think that, the premise of your question is, of course he does. It was in these 5 pledges for a reason. It was the bottom one of the 5 pledges in terms of stopping the boats because it was the hardest one to do, frankly. And so, yes, we are dying on a hill that is really difficult to sort out. But what we need to do about it is, first of all, illegal immigration, get that Rwanda bill through. It's not a single solution, but it does act as a deterrent. On current projections, if you can actually reduce the people coming over by boats by something like 2%, then the costs of Rwanda are covered anyway. In terms of legal migration, clearly we do need some migration, but at 672,000, way too high. So tackling the student dependencies that we've been doing and other measures, these are things that do take time to come into the system and work their way through the system.
They do take time, but Henry, I'll throw it over to you. I mean, we have got a former immigration minister saying that he was trying to talk to the Prime Minister at their fortnightly meetings about immigration, and the Prime Minister was refusing.
Yeah, and not just Robert Jenrick, also Suella Braverman, when she was Home Secretary, was trying to have conversations with him about this, so she says, and wasn't able to have those conversations, which to me shows a distinct lack of engagement from the Prime Minister's point of view. Now, OK, let's be fair. Prime Minister's a busy man. He's got a lot on his plate. But this was one of his 5 pledges, and unless he's totally out of touch with the British people, he should be aware that it might be the 5th on his list, but it's about the highest for the British people. So I think that demonstrates a lack of engagement, and I'm going to disagree slightly. I mean, there is this prevalent idea in Parliament being encouraged, I think, by officials and the general bureaucracy that measures to deal with immigration take a long time to go through, to sort of come through the pipe, if you like. Some of them do. Things like Rwanda, most certainly, as we've seen, do. But I've helped 14 countries to rewrite, redevelop, reform their entire air, land and maritime borders to deal with such things as prolific opiate smuggling from Afghanistan into Central Asia, that sort of thing, and counter-terrorism in the United States. It can be done, and it can be done in 8 months.
OK, all right, Paul, I'll throw it over to you. I mean, is it not fair to say, really, that essentially the Conservative Party has just been addicted to the teat of mass migration, and the Treasury won't let you deviate?
I don't know. I don't think the government has. I mean, you've seen, first of all, going back to the split between legal and illegal, you've seen a massive spike around Europe on illegal migration, and whereas we've managed to cut, although, as you reported, the high level of numbers at the moment, we have cut some routes from Albania, notably, and those kind of things, whereas in other areas, it's still going up. Around Italy and the Mediterranean, it's still going up quite considerably. In terms of legal migration, we as a country have been overly dependent on legal migration for a number of years. As I said, we do need some, but there's the default option for a lot of companies and public sector to go internationally to try and find jobs rather than looking at domestic training, and then finding the skills that we want.
All right, look, just before I go back to Henry, Paul, I've got to ask, you say it takes time and things like that, and I'm asking whether or not the Prime Minister cares. I mean, with respect, you've given up, haven't you? You're not running again.
I'm not standing again. Yeah, but that's not about migration. I mean, there is a psychodrama in the Tory party, but that's separate from migration, to be honest. So, that's about the next 5 years. So, but I do care deeply about this for the reasons that Henry says, but I'm also the son of a migrant as well. My dad came over from Burma when he was 18. I've seen the good side of migration, and that was economic migration there. But you can't have uncontrolled, unmanaged immigration. So you've got to make sure that we lean into that. I do. Yes, he does care about that. But then when I see he's having a hospital pass from Boris, I disagree with that. We've got to manage expectations, and we've got to come up, avoid those kind of really, frankly, unhelpful phrases.
Yeah, Henry, look, final word to you on this. We're going to have to be quite snappy. Can I just ask you, do you think, Henry, that the MOJ should be telling the country how many asylum seekers have committed sexual assaults?
I think we need to have a national discussion about this. We need to know the facts. There needs to be transparency, absolutely. When I was a police officer, there was 25 years ago, there was a scandal about this. Some chief constables had to resign because they were saying that certain communities had a propensity towards different types of crime. Every community has a propensity towards different types of crime. That's a fact, and it varies from town and city to city. But if we cannot acknowledge that, if we can't talk about that, if we can't define the problem, then we can't solve it. We can't define the solution. We've got to have a conversation about it. And if political correctness stops us doing that, political correctness is putting the public at risk.
Look, both of you, thank you very, very much for giving up at least a chunk of your Thursday night. Either way, I know that our viewers will feel very, very grateful for it. So thank you. All right, now look, as I've been saying, the Ministry of Justice is refusing to release stats despite us here at GB News offering to cover their costs. They turned down a Freedom of Information request because they said it would cost too much. So we said, that's all right, lads, don't worry about it, we'll pay. And they said, no, it's not really about the money. Well, we will keep fighting for you because you deserve to know, all right? You deserve to know how many asylum seekers have committed sexual offences. It might not be a big problem. It might be a very big problem. But there might be another solution for you, which Robert Jenrick will reveal tomorrow night in a TV exclusive interview right here on my show. Here's a little flavour of what you can expect.
Most honest and transparent debate about immigration. I didn't feel that the Prime Minister understood the importance of legal migration. It is that we lock up more of these prolific offenders.
Yes, we're not giving too much away there, to be fair, but we think that there is a way that you can get that information. It just requires a bit of legwork, which we are prepared to do.